Hello and welcome to Santos on Sports, sponsored by Scotty's Pub, located at 202 Pleasant Street in Fall River, citywide glass with 3 locations, 425 State Road in Dartmouth, 2 other locations, one in Fall River and one in Taunton, and Lakeville Athletic Club. They are located at 325 Bedford Street in Lakeville, Massachusetts, where you can play tennis and pickleball, just to name a few. Alongside Chris Santos, I am Paul Santos. Oh, man, what a night we had last night. Oh, my God, we were texting back and forth, and we were watching this terrible crumble of the Celtics. They had this thing won. They had it won. They had them on the ropes. They had Giannis and all these guys and True Holiday on the ropes, and then all of a sudden, it was a total and colossal collapse. Chris Santos was like, I got a rant. I said, you got a rant? Okay, the floor is yours. Let's hear the Chris Santos opening rant.
Well, Paul, this is something that we saw in the first half of the Celtics regular season. We saw losses like this, some real fourth quarter collapses, and unfortunately, it happened again last night. 33 points given up in the fourth quarter. They've only scored 21 in the fourth quarter. And to me, the Celtics played the not to win, that style of basketball, and not to lose more than anything else. Couldn't get the game going to win the game. And what I mean by that is they went back to non-movement of players, non-movement of the basketball. They went to isolation basketball on offense, 24-second clock shot, all the way down to like 5 or 4, and then kind of do the one-on-one situation, whether it's step back or a quick pass or something different. That's not Celtic basketball. And that's what they tried in the fourth quarter, and it wasn't working. On the opposite side, 33 points given up to the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I know Giannis is going to get his points. He's too good of a player. He's a great player. And I'm okay with that. But I'm not okay with second chance, third chance rebounds by Bobby Portis. I'm not happy with defending the 3 ball, which gets you back into ball games. And that's what Milwaukee was doing. Down by 14, 9 minutes to go. What are we going to do? Let's get Allen involved. Let's get the local kid Connaughton involved. Let's get Holiday involved. 3 after 3. You must defend the 3. That's how they're going to get back in the game. And they did it. And they did it quickly. And they did it on the opposite end. Doing that isolation really hurt the Celtics. And then it came in the opposite way where they were getting second and third chances, as we said. I know Robert Williams was not there. A big factor. A big guy that might be able to block out, get some more rebounds on Portis and some of the other players. So I thought that was kind of big not having him in the game. But I just think the Celtics played not to win. It was more not to lose than anything else. They just didn't show anything offensively that I thought they've been doing very well, moving about, getting the open looks. So very, very frustrating night if you're a Boston Celtics fan.
All right, what do you think of that colossal collapse that happened last night on the parquet floor? Give us a call at 774-762-6234. I was looking back at it, Chris, yep. And, just real quick, with 140 left, the Celtics had a 6-point lead. Okay, they'd already blown a lot of it, but 6-point lead, 140 left. And Giannis, of all people, right? Giannis, of all people, comes down and nails a 3, right? Yep. Tatum then comes back the other way. So there's Mr. Clutch, yep. And then there's Mr. No Clutch. Yep. Tatum comes back the other way, takes a 2, misses it, okay? Mm-hmm. Then the ball goes back the other way. Marcus Smart coughs up the ball for the first and 3 times. Then Holiday comes back, gets that rebound. They kick it out to him. He hits the 3. Okay, so Giannis and Holiday, that was with 42 seconds left, hit 3s. And in between those 2 threes, Tatum missed the 2, and Smart lost the ball. So right there, there's, what is that, a 1-minute stretch where you had 2 threes by them, and 2 screw ups by us, right? And look, and
Yep.
this is a time, we talked about it before. The Celtics are talented. There's no question about it. And they're an up and coming team. And maybe this isn't their year. Maybe it's next year or the year after because they need to mature a little bit. But when it really comes to that crunch time, when you're starting to turn the screws a little bit and the championship team really needs to come through, that's when the Celtics struggle.
And if you talk about those 2 possessions, that was inside ball first. So the Celtics collapsed. They took the shot. They missed it. They get the offensive rebound. Then it went back out to Giannis, who was sitting at the top of the key, wide open, and he nails the 3. Came back the opposite way again when Holiday did it, who again had 24 and like 8 or 9 rebounds. I don't understand why that guy's having 8 or 9 rebounds, but he was. And he hits the big 3. But again, Paul, you're up 6, 140. How are you going to get back in this one? I don't care if they get the 2. Maybe I can match it on the other end. But when you give up the 3, it changes possessions only to now 2 possessions instead of maybe 3 or 4 possessions. So that's where it's very key. And the Celtics gave it up. It's as simple as that. Then down the stretch, you're going to Marcus Smart. Okay, explain to me that one, Adoka. I got Brown with 26, 8, and 6. I got Tatum with 34, 6, and 4 for points. And you're going to Smart both times. And if you watch on the last one, Tatum's wide open on the right-hand side. Smart can't even get the ball up. He gets it knocked out, and they end the ball game. But I don't understand the philosophy if I got Brown and Tatum and I'm going to Marcus Smart. I'm sorry. He's not an offensive star like Tatum and Brown. He's a defensive star.
Well, when he took that ball baseline, right?
Yep.
That play when there was like, let me see, it was 11 seconds left. He comes out, he goes baseline. Now, afterwards on the postgame show, they were explaining, well, Horford was supposed to come over here and set a pick, and Tatum was supposed to go over there, but it didn't happen fast enough. So the 5 seconds were coming down when they had to inbound the ball. So they got it to Smart, and Smart's cutting to the basket. I'm thinking to myself, what the heck are they doing? In fact, I even text Chris. I was like, after Holiday went and pushed the ball away, and he didn't slap it away, he just pushed it away.
Right.
And then bounced it off of Smart so that it would go out of bounds. I was so aggravated. I texted Chris. I went, what the hell was that? What kind of a play was that? Well, I guess it was a broken play, according to what their players were saying, that something else was supposed to happen. So obviously you had that, which I thought was, just absolutely horrendous. And then, of course, at the end of the game, when they're coming down, they needed a 3. And then if you see the replay, you can see Tatum waving his hand over here. You got Brown waving his arm over there. And Smart coughs up the ball. That was about as bad a 2 minutes a player could have in the NBA that Smart had in those last couple of minutes. I mean, it was one disaster after another.
Yeah, and I thought it was something that the Celtics have gotten over in the second half of collapses like this compared to what we saw a little bit more in the first half, which led to, remember, that turmoil, Paul, about already getting rid of Brown and getting rid of Tatum because of losses like that. And they had a good second half in the regular season, and they didn't let that really happen that much. But last night, pressure's on. I wanted to see more from that offense, more ball movement, more people cutting to the basket instead of, I'll take a high pick. Okay, I get around the guy, isolate. I'll wait 5, 4, and then do what I got to do. Yeah, you're scoring it sometimes, but it's not going to give you enough. And only scoring 21 in the fourth is definitely not enough to win the ball game.
All right, let's go to our phones here today on Santos on Sports. Hello, you are on Santos on Sports.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Oh, hey boy, could be better. That was an absolute heartbreaker last night. Chris, you hit it right on the head. Those last couple of possessions. Why is it mainly in Marcus Smart's hands? Forget about Tatum. It feels like either Al Horford or Jaylen Brown have been your closers this entire series. And I've been listening to Felger and Maz these past couple of days, and they brought up something that I didn't really notice until now. It feels like almost every single time they're getting some sort of contact, whether it's a foul or not, they're just hitting the deck every time. And I think that's kind of why you're seeing some of these wide open looks, whether it be in the paint or for 3, and especially on that free throw. They're either hitting the deck or they're just backing up really, really far and letting guys get offensive rebounds. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I have to agree. And what happens is they're trying to find a way to slow Giannis down. So they're trying to find a way to get offensive fouls. And when you're a small guy like Smart and White, or some of them guys who have to cover them, or even Horford, who's a step late against Giannis, compared to like a Williams who can body him with the chest and body him with the chest and stand up to him, it's a little bit different. So when you have that kind of who's matching up against Giannis, you want to flop. You want to try to find if the refs can help you and get the foul. But remember, when you do that, other guys now stop moving around. Then Portis finds a way to grab a rebound. Holiday finds a way to grab a rebound. Then they kick it out and shoot the three. And they're making the shots with Allen, Connaughton, even Holiday too. So, you live and die by that when you take those risks. And they get away with it sometimes. And we've seen Giannis, who leads the NBA in offensive fouls right now. So sometimes it works, and sometimes it works against you.
And you alluded to it too. I think not having Robert Williams in that situation kind of killed us there too. Because I feel like in that situation with his leaping ability, I don't think Bobby Portis even gets that offensive rebound to begin with. So I think that killed us there. Just let alone the energy that he brings to the floor. I'm really nervous going to Milwaukee, but all I have to bank on is, we haven't, lost back-to-back games.
No, that's true. And remember now, Portis had 15 rebounds. I think if Robert Williams is in that game, I'm hoping that he would be able to cut that in half. But none bigger in the stretch than the ones he made down there, and made a basket, if you remember, and got fouled on another one and went to the line to shoot and made some free throws as well. So he had a huge fourth quarter for second and third chances, which led to some threes from Giannis and Holiday when they needed it down the stretch. Absolutely big without Robert Williams.
Well, the other thing, too, was you guys have noticed that when, Giannis was fouled and he made that first foul shot, he missed the second one, and then Portis got that rebound. Marcus Smart was playing aggressive, but he went in there and he actually bumped into his own player. It almost looked like either Brown or Tatum, I think, was about to get that rebound. And then Smart just went.
Yeah,
he went in there completely out of control, bumped into Brown, and then hit the deck.
And
actually hurt the Celtics' chance of getting a rebound. So in addition to coughing up the ball twice, getting rejected in the baseline, he actually hurt.
All right, we're having some technical difficulties right now. Paul's a little frozen up on us. Hopefully we can correct that. But caller, you still with me? No, I don't have the caller either. All right. Well, we're talking about that with Portis and what that needed to be. But yeah, Giannis was pretty big at that time to really turn that game around and, create some energy off the bench. Huge fourth quarter.
All right. Let's
we
see.
got back from technical difficulties.
We're back. We came back. Are you there, Ryan?
I'm still here.
All right. Yeah, we got abducted by a UFO guest. We had a UFO guest on a little while back.
That's all right.
I can now say we've been abducted. Well, anyway, so what do you think is going to happen now? They're down 3-2, but the teams are so close, Ryan. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily think the Celtics are dead. I have a feeling that, they can go down there and steal that game 6. I don't know. Obviously, they had a chance to really take control of the series, but I don't know. Do you think the Celtics can come back from this?
I think they can. I don't think the series is over by any stretch of the imagination. I think it just depends on, can the Celtics play a couple of really disciplined games of basketball? Not have those turnovers late down the stretch. Tatum needs to get going. He's been kind of low-key horrible the entire series. He's got to hit some shots. I'm not going to bank on Al Horford having another 30-point game. I'm not sure if he has the legs for that anymore. Because what is he, like 35-ish maybe? I don't know
36.
Exactly the age. But I think hopefully Rob Williams can come back for that one too. I think it might be unlikely. But if we could get someone in there to get some offensive rebounds or just rebounds in general, that could really help us.
All right. And Chris, what did you think of Tatum's play?
Well, he's not. You guys can.
Well, we're talking to Chris or me.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, you can look back on the last 2 games. I don't think Tatum's gotten off to the stats that he's wanted to get to. He's finished okay, and they've gone to him in the fourth. He's getting 34 points. I mean, that's a lot quality, and getting a little bit more in the second half. But they're shooting threes early. The range there has not been good as a team. Shooting like 6 for 21 in the first half. Struggling. I like to see them get off to a harder start. Get in there a little bit more. Grind down below a little bit. Get Williams even more involved if he gets in the game. To have an opportunity to get some easy twos. And then worry about it down the stretch when they have to. But they've gotten off to some slow starts. But Tatum has scored in the 30s, so it's not like he hasn't produced in that way. They're just not, they're not getting it when it's big time. And, of course, the defense, I thought was just not there last night when they really needed to be. They just looked like they were running around a lot, banging into each other, and just didn't seem comfortable at all. And they gave up a lot of rebounds and a lot of unattested threes.
What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I can agree with that. And just kind of going back to the entire series in general, I just feel like they've been taking way too many threes. Tatum especially. I forgot which game it was, but I think what was he, like 2 for 11 at one point in one of these games. Even though Giannis obviously is a massive presence in the paint and defensively in general, but I still feel like we just need to attack the basket more and really leave the threes to like the most wide open looks possible. We just got to try to attack these guys.
All right, Ryan, really appreciate you chiming in today. Thank you very much for your comments. We always enjoy them, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, for having me on again.
All right. Have a great day. All right. Yes. I got to tell you, I hate to be the critic of Jason Tatum, but I can't help myself. That clutch thing, that thing that Brady has, that thing that Big Pappy has, that thing that Derek Jeter used to have, Reggie Jackson. I want this guy to have the ball, Larry Bird, and that close thing, And Tatum, he had a chance to get a basket in between the 2 threes that the Bucks got. When he was coming down and he took that shot, I'm like, he's not going to make that shot. You know what I mean? Like, this is like the screws are starting to turn. Is there something to that? Am I just kind of like, I'm just like the casual fan, and I'm putting aside the talents and the X's and O's, and I'm just trying to touch upon that it thing, that it thing that you can't really like define it, but you just get a feeling about it that this guy's going to. I mean, Giannis hitting that 3, how clutch was that? True Holiday hitting that 3, how clutch was that? Were the Celtics able to do something like that in that same situation? You don't usually see that. They win the game when they pull away. They don't usually win the game like that.
Well, he made shots, Paul, to get you to that position. Mm-hmm. If you recall, he made some really good plays. He made a nice pass to Pritchard one time at the end. He made another one that he had to do a crazy layup and it went in. And then he hit some key threes as well. I didn't like yesterday down the stretch. Maybe I thought they were going to go to him and see what he could have done there at the end, but they didn't even give him the chance. So I didn't like the inbound play, and Smart got it. And I don't know. I mean, you're professionals. All of a sudden you call the timeout and set up a play, and okay, it's 5 seconds, and you just inbound it to Smart. And you say, well, I need to go to the basket. You still had I think 13 seconds when Smart got the ball. He could have kind of maneuvered a little bit and found an open man or whatever it was, and he didn't do that. So we never even got the chance to look at maybe Tatum doing that. And I know you're talking about the play between Giannis and Holiday. And, yeah, it was on Tatum's hand, and he came up short, I believe, with the shot. He had a good look at it, and it did come up short, and it went off to the right. And then they came back the opposite way. So I didn't get the chance to see. But prior to that, to get them back, it was Tatum that was doing it. So frustrating down the stretch. To see how that unfolded, unfortunately, for the Boston Celtics.
All right, shout out to Bobby O'Brien, who's watching here today. Thank you for looking in. Chad Barreto is watching it as well. And Chad Barreto has some interesting comments. He made the statement, ISO ball trash. So that was, there you go, right in Chris Santos' sweet spot there.
Yep. And that's right. And that's what I don't like about the Boston Celtics. You talked about it, Paul, before, about hero ball. I'm not saying each guy's trying to be an own individual hero. But when the Celtics play well, they move the ball. and they find open men and they get open spots and they feed off transition and they go and they run and they move. When they come down and that 24-second shot clock and that guy's just dribbling, and it goes down to 5, nothing frustrates me more, because to me, that's like hero ball. It's like, hey, I got this guy. I'm going to take him. They make it once in a while, but you can't play like that every possession. And I thought they did that in the fourth quarter constantly.
I wasn't really surprised that True Holiday rejected that shot on the baseline. That, I mean, I know that was a broken play, what they're saying, but I'm like,
yep.
God, I was looking at that and I'm like, there's no way this ball's going in. It was a flat out, rejection right at the baseline in the clutch. So, hey, True Holiday, he had a pretty good last couple of minutes of that game too.
Yeah, he did. And, you can look at ways to shoot threes, and you can have someone in your face and you can get a high pick and then get it over the top and take an open three. You can set screens, come around the screens, find it, take an open three. But to watch him, to watch Allen, and to watch Connaughton, that's all they do, Paul. That there's a difference between a guy who just takes threes and someone who now comes off of screens. You got to jump out on him and force him to go to the basket and take a running two or whatever it is, a layup, and have guys collapse on him. And they're the smaller players on the team. And so, they were killing it with the three. The Celtics did not defend the three very well.
Right. And you said that to me by text in the closing moments of the game. Got to defend the three here. Got to defend the three. Don't let him back. And
then what happened right after that?
Threes.
Yeah, they hit 2 of them.
They hit 2 really clutch big threes.
Sure did.
Chad Barreto also is asking about the fact that Al Horford didn't get a lot of touches in the fourth quarter. He then says that's coaching. And then he says, bum. I don't know if he's talking about the coach is a bum, but and the other thing too is, how about the third quarter that Brown had, and in the fourth quarter he never really got the ball. I mean, he was the hot hand. Seemed like they should have gone back to Brown more. Now again, a lot of it has to do with what the other teams are doing too. But it was kind of surprised that Brown went bananas in the third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter he never saw the ball.
No, and I think you're right, and Chad's right, because I thought Horford, who's had a great series. And so, maybe find a little hot hand and keep that rolling. But when you play ISO ball, you're not moving it to those guys. And unfortunately, that's what they did. And, I was hoping it wouldn't get caught up in that, and they did, and it cost them.
All right, give us a shout here at 774-762-6234, and you can vent with us here the day after that colossal Celtics collapse. They will be playing now back in Milwaukee over the weekend. Hopefully they can pull off a win. I mean, they played pretty well down in Milwaukee. So even though home court is a big thing in the NBA, it does seem like the Celtics played pretty well in both of those games, obviously winning one of them and one of them coming from behind, kind of doing the same thing to Milwaukee as Milwaukee did to the Celtics last night. So the thing is, bouncing back from the loss, you just get that feeling that, oh man, we just had him. And now we got to go back to the drawing board and try to get him again. Try to overcome that, right? That sort of like that emotional part of it. What do you have to do? You just got to put the game behind you and have a short memory, they say, right?
Oh, absolutely. And then, you have to listen. Giannis is one of the best players in the league. So there's 2 ways to factor. You're going to give him what he wants, and then you stop everybody else. Well, that didn't happen. Not only did Giannis get his 40 points, but Holiday got 24, and Portis was 14 and 15. And the other guys were hitting their threes. So they had it rolling. And now you got to contain Giannis, and you really got to put the clamps on the other guys to take this away. Now, if Williams comes back, I think it helps. Other than that, you got to make sure you keep an eye on Portis, because he killed it on the boards. And he was devastating in that fourth quarter that really hurt the Celtics.
Yeah, funny, Giannis, he wasn't trying to miss that shot. I know Marcus Smart did it pretty well the other day because they practiced that when he had to do it.
Correct.
But it was basically Giannis is terrible. He's shooting like 60% from the foul line.
Yeah.
And he misses the second shot because he's not very good at taking foul shots. Right. And it ends up benefiting Milwaukee. I mean, as much as the Celtics collapsed and Milwaukee came up strong at the end, there was definitely some luck factor there and some of the things that happened too.
Well, and then the Celtics banged into each other, and one guy was trying to get it, and then he kind of lost his balance and backed up. Smart was on the ground, and then Portis just snuck in, grabbed it, and it went from there. So, yeah, some things just don't go your way, but, when the momentum is swinging, that's what usually happens. It doesn't go your way. So it was going for Milwaukee, and everything was against the Celtics, and they took advantage of it. Now, Boston going back there, it's not to say that they can't win in Milwaukee, because they have, and they can get the job done. And as the caller said, they have to play a complete game. You can't have a lapse in quarter 2. You can't have a lapse in quarter 4. You got to make sure that you're playing good ball from quarter 1 all the way through. And if you're going to shoot 2 for 21 for 3-pointers, and Milwaukee's kind of giving it to them a little bit, because the Celtics have been slumping in that category. So that means they're folding back just a little bit, and letting the Celtics shoot those balls. So if they're not going in, it's going to be difficult for Boston to try to get in there when the defense is collapsing inside the paint.
Chad Barito says the Celtics are too inconsistent, that's for sure. And a shout out to Mark Silvier out there in Chicago, Illinois, the Windy City. Give us a call and let us know what you think about last night's colossal collapse. And, of course, the Celtics having to win Game 6. The Bruins are going to be playing tonight. They have to win. They had a bad night the other night. I mean, if we can digress just for a moment, boy, that was really too bad. Swayman gave up a bad goal. Marchand was robbed by Anta, and after that, it just started going the other way, and all of a sudden down the tubes we went. So now we have the Celtics and the Bruins both down 3-2, and we're hoping that both of them to hang on and keep winning.
Yeah, and then now Boston comes home where they've played better, obviously, than on the road. You get that home, field advantage kind of a deal. You're in the TD Bank, you get the excitement from the crowd. Even though that other game when they were home, they didn't score first. Carolina did. And when we were talking with John Raleigh and John Sullivan, we talked about the Bruins scoring first, getting the crowd into it. They didn't, but they did come back and get it done. Now, 2 things. Grzelcyk is going to be a scratch, and Lindholm is back in the lineup. That's number 1. Number 2, as the game starts, the perfection line is going to be broken up. They're going to put the Brusque back on with Bergeron and Marchand. And then Pasternak's going back down with Haller and Hall. So that's going to be interesting. Now, that's the start of the game, Paul. That doesn't mean during the middle they go back and they make some changes and move it around. So, one, have to see how Lindholm is. Hopefully he's himself, being banged up and being out for those games. McAvoy was hurt. He's trying to get himself back in and get his thoughts together as well. I haven't heard yet. Is it Swayman or is it Olmark?
Swayman.
On that one?
Swayman.
Okay, so it is Swayman. So hopefully he gets back to, playing solid goaltending, where the other night he gave up soft goals. But that game, Paul, the Bruins were just beat to the puck every minute by Carolina. I don't care if it was in the neutral zone, the offensive zone, or the defensive zone. It looked like Carolina always had the puck. And every time it was a loose one, they got it before the Bruins. And they just looked like they were too fast for them in that one. So the Bruins are going to have to tighten it up. Obviously, turnovers, got to be careful. The defense especially. And, Grzelcyk made a bad one. It cost one of the goals. So I'm not saying that's why he's being scratched, but, he had a tough outing. According to Cassidy, he's been going through some tough stuff, whatever that means. So he's not in the lineup. But hopefully having Lindholm back, solid goaltending, maybe a little depth, instead of just relying on the perfection line. Need that second and third to help out as well. So they're going to try to make a change and see how that goes. So Cassidy's making moves. It's not like he's standing still. They're home. Let's see how it goes. Force a game 7, Paul. Force a game 7.
I'm not too sure about breaking up that perfection line at home, because the argument goes that because of the last change, you could really keep that perfection line away from the stall line, the hard checking line that was really shutting them down in Carolina, right? So now you're back at home, game 6, right? The perfection line was put back together for games 3 and 4 at the Garden, right? So now you're back at the Garden, game 6, right? My thought was, you know what? Keep the perfection line together tonight at the Garden where you have the last change. But
Mhm.
then if you force a game 7, then maybe you split up the perfection line. I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. Hey, I think it's an interesting idea. He wants to jumble things up. He didn't like the way things looked before. It kind of spreads out the talent. But having that last change at the Garden, my thought was, hey, do it like you did in games 3 and 4. You were successful that way.
No, I can agree with that. And again, he's saying it's just to start. It doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way. We're going to wait and see how the game develops. But obviously, don't wait too long if you're going to do it, especially if you're down early. So he's going to see how the flow of the game goes and then make his decision as it continues on. So it'll be interesting to see if they go to that. Now, remember, them guys stick together when they have power plays. So they use them a lot there too. And the Bruins have to stay out of the penalty box. That's huge too. And that's been big in this series. The team that's gone to the box a lot more usually is the ones that are suffering.
Yeah, they were taking some bad penalties in that last game. I mean, it
Yep.
seemed like every 5 minutes they were in the penalty box. And,
Yes.
they killed off a few of them. You can't kill off all of them. And
Right.
Carolina, they got some snipers over there. They've got some guys that can put the puck in the net. And they certainly did against the Bruins the other night down in Carolina. And, Swayman, right? I agree with leaving Swayman there because I still think Swayman is a little bit better goalie than Ullmark. Now, does that mean on a particular night Ullmark couldn't be better? Well, of course he could be better on a particular night. Swayman looked really good in games 3 and 4, I thought, especially game 3, the one that I attended. I thought, wow, he really looks good. He looks comfortable out there. He's confident and everything. Game 4, I thought he was good too. I don't know if he was quite as good as game 3, but suffice it to say, game 3 and game 4 is pretty good. Did he really give you that stand on your head, I'm going to steal a game goaltending, which we have said on this show a number of times? The Bruins really need that to be successful in the playoffs. Most teams do, but especially the Bruins. No, I wouldn't say that. I think he was very good. I give him a B+ in those games, but he hasn't really been the stand on your head, Tim Thomas, Ken Dryden type goalie. You know what I mean? And I think the Bruins really need that. Now you're going into game 6, you're back at the Garden. He seemed like he was more comfortable at the Garden, right? So to pull him out and throw the other guy right back in there, I don't think so. I think you stay with Swayman. Maybe you get the game, the win, and then you worry about it in game 7. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Obviously the goaltending decision is a tough one. I think it was right to switch over to Swayman. Again, I think he was solid, but he certainly hasn't given you the whole stand on your head thing. And I'm hoping that if the Bruins can somehow survive this and get out of this, that one of those goaltenders can give you that, because you're going to need that as these series progress.
Oh, absolutely. And obviously it's one game at a time because you lose and you're out. So you got to do this one. Paul, the other guys you talked about, when they're at their best, they don't give up those soft goals. And, it could go off the glove, sneak over the shoulder, and then trickle in through the pad, underneath the arm, gets by it, trickles in. Stop it with the pads. All of a sudden, it just flutters there. And then you're looking for it, it's behind you, and it goes over the line. Those are soft goals, in my opinion, and those happen. But when you're in the playoffs, you try, not to give those up, because other teams have snipers, and if they're going to score, make it legit goals and snipe shots to really go by you than the soft ones. So if you can stay away from that and stay consistent and strong throughout, I have no problem keeping Swayman in there and doing his job, because we've seen it from him, and he looks more of the aggressive type to do that compared to Ullmark, who seems a more conservative and a relaxed more goaltender. So
Right.
I'm probably going to start him and go with him, and hopefully he doesn't give up the soft one. They have to make legit ones to get it by him.
The thing with Swayman, I think he's capable of being that hot goalie more than Ullmark is. And I think if he could just get on a little bit of a roll, that might happen. We saw it a little bit earlier in the season, but they're up against the wall. So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen soon. And by the way, Chad Barra made another comment. He says, Cassidy and Sweeney after the season, see ya, and take Chine Bloom with you. So there's some interesting comments from Chad Barra too. Hello, you are on Santos on Sports.
Hey, what up? My name is Cassius. I do my own podcast show, but I had to comment. See, the problem with the Celtics is at certain times they don't pass the ball back and forth. The teamwork is one of the biggest issues I see sometimes. Some people just try to make it all about them. They don't have the confidence. I feel that they don't really know their abilities as the Celtics. I've been a big fan of the Celtics. You can look into the history of the Celtics. The Celtics used to stop back in the day at Madison Square Garden as the New York original Celtics. I know a lot about the Celtics history. They moved out here. If you really know their history, they had 4 names that they were going to be called: the Whirlwinds, the Olympians, the Unicorns, and the Celtics when they came back out, when they came from Boston. So I know a lot of history. But when it comes to the Celtics, they don't have the confidence team-wise that I think that they don't realize that they particularly, how the quality of the talent they got. They don't have full belief as a team, not as the ability of the individual, but as a team. They don't have that, So I've been watching a couple of things. I thought I'd slide through. I run my own stuff. I'm Cassius Flow from Final Impression Promo Team. And I just had to tell you, that's what I feel they don't have. If they get more understanding of the abilities together as a team, I don't think nobody could stop them.
All right, let's get Chris's comment because we've been talking about this quite a bit on our podcast.
Well, Cassius, I think, is correct but does that become a coaching problem, Cassius? Is Udoka not coaching them to move the ball the way they should and don't have the confidence? To me, that's coaching to say, hey, guys, we have the talent. Look, we can do it. Let's get this done. We play our best when we move the basketball and not isolation basketball. So I think it becomes a coaching issue to get those guys thinking, we can do this. We can get it done because we've done it in the past.
See, my opinion on that is that if they, like I said, with the talent they got, they have a bunch of great young athletic people.
Correct.
I feel like they could be more legendary than the original Arbach crew. And even when the Truth and all them were there, I feel like there's a lot of talent here that could go far, way many more championships. But the problem is do they see it themselves? And it ain't just the coach. The coach can do one thing. It's also the players.
Well,
the players have to perform.
Well,
the players have to know.
Exactly. Well, a lot of times, I know Chris brings up the coaching end. It's absolutely a good point. But once it comes to crunch time and there's 2 minutes left in the game and you got the ball in your hands and the coach can say, do this and do that. But if you're not feeling what you're going to do and maybe you decide, hey, I'm going to be the hero or whatever the problem is, it doesn't seem like when it really comes down to it and the pressure is on and the screws are being twisted, it doesn't seem like they're quite ready to be a championship team,
Yeah. Who I think is going to be in the ending, I would like to see the Celtics. I think the Warriors are going to be somewhere in the championship. But I really feel like I hope just that anything that the Celtics see the love in themselves to understand each other equilibrium-wise, to be able to perform with the talent that I know they got. I really feel like they don't fully see it. And a lot of times in the days I watch older teams of the Celtics. I watch a lot of different sports.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that if they could only see what they got,
right.
They could only see,
all right.
I don't know.
I think that's a really, really interesting insight. Mm-hmm. And Cassius, don't be a stranger. Call us again. We really appreciate your take.
Yeah. I just wanted to shout you out. I watched the other day on the other thing at the hotel, the suites, with that young girl that sang. She got talent.
Yeah, thank you.
Music, so that's why I wanted to put out there.
All right, thank you for your support. We appreciate it.
Live everywhere. Make it viral. He's doing big things.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, bye-bye. It's interesting because we can talk about, this guy should have done this and there should have been a pick and roll over here and all that stuff that we like to break down. But there is that other thing. I can't even put my finger on it, that he's right. Like when it comes down to the end, and maybe, they used to say in hockey, you're holding the stick tighter because the pressure is on, It's like the old days where the Bruins could beat everybody except the Canadians. And every time they got into that freaking 6th or 7th game, the Canadians are loosey-goosey and the Bruins are holding those sticks and they can't quite get out, And I feel like the Celtics just haven't broken through that thing where you just got to get over that hump and be a championship contender. I think that's what he's talking about. Yeah,
probably, but not everybody on the team can be the it factor. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You would like it to be that way. But even when they had the great ones, Bird, McHale were the two. You know, occasionally there'd be a game where Ainge stole it for you or DJ stole it for you. But when it was them too. So it's not going to be everybody. Hopefully they have that. They're professionals. They've worked together. They should know one another by now. Confidence that we're in the playoffs. We're playing the great ones. And, we're here for a reason. Let's go out and do it. Now, it's different mentality to sometimes get that to every person and get it across. And I get where Cassius is coming from. Now, and it's not going to happen with all of them, and it's going to happen with some of them. So it's tough. And I think coaching has a lot to do with it too, to put those guys in those right situations, to have them mentally prepared to say, we can beat this team, or we can win this game, we can take this series, or we can win it all, whatever it is. So I think it's a combination, not just specifically the players. I think it's everybody included.
I think the caller, Cassius, was talking about almost like a confidence thing, but
Yeah.
I mean, the team seems to play with a lot of confidence for most of the time. I mean, for 3.5 quarters, they look like the most confident team in the league.
Yeah.
But then you get to that last 5 minutes, and it's almost like you said, they were playing not to lose.
Right. Well, when you have a lead like that, now it changes a little bit different. You're trying to get, obviously, seconds off the clock. So you try to, let it go all the way down before you take the shot, different things like that. And then you start running around a little bit. It's not what you expected. Now guys are on the ground, people getting rebounds, and the momentum switch the other way. So, it can be confidence. It can be lack of discipline. There can be a lot of things put into that. But I think he's right, because that's one perspective of it, let's say, Paul. I'm not saying that's the whole thing, but I think Cassius is correct to say you have to have a confidence when you're in the big games so you can win those big games. I can agree to that.
Shout out to, let's see, Mikey Kahn. Mikey Kahn is on tonight. Hey, Mike, good to see you. Make a comment. Give us a call at 774-762-6234. Glad to speak with anyone today. Would like to chime in on particularly the Celtics is what we're talking about today after that gut-wrenching loss yesterday. And also Tracy Onechill, thank you for looking in on Santos on Sports. And by the way, shout out again to our sponsors. Thank you so much for helping us out. Scotty's Pub, 202 Pleasant Street, Fall River. Citywide Glass, 3 locations, 425 State Road, Dartmouth, 1 in Fall River, 1 in Taunton. And the Lakeville Athletic Club, which I have a feeling that Chris Santos might be going over there on occasion. He's not too far down the road. That's 325 Bedford Street in Lakeville, where you got tennis and you got pickleball. Do you play pickleball, by the way?
Paul, it is sweeping the nation.
I know.
Okay, it really is. Now I'm not saying this. I mean, I'm telling you right now, pickleball is sweeping the nation. You were down in Florida. I was down in Florida. 6 a.m. 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Now I'm hearing pickleball, bang, 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 right next to where I'm living. And I'm going, what is going on here? It's catching on. You can get really competitive and not have to move as much, things like that, a little smaller. I have not jumped on to the pickleball crave yet, only because I'm still in the tennis crave. I'm still playing. I do play at the Lakeville Athletic Club. Some great people over there. Owner Rich Anthony, a lot of respect for him. His crew, Jared Piper, Alex Howard, guys who teach over there, a bunch of great guys. But pickleball, Paul, let me tell you, intermediate, beginners, advanced. It's now even going outside Ted Williams camp. They got it going on over there too. For kids, it's crazy. It's taken off. So you want to get involved in either tennis or pickleball, head to the Lakeville Athletic Club, because they got it going on over there.
Well, you're going to love this comment. We got a comment from the Midwest.
Midwest.
By the name, the Midwest.
Nice.
Harm Solid Snake. That's the person's name. Harm Solid Snake.
Okay.
And he says pickleball is huge here in the Midwest, wherever that is. And he says the seniors live for it.
Yes.
So if you want to let us know where exactly in the Midwest you're talking about, that would be great. We'd like to know that. It is sweeping the entire country, not just Florida or Massachusetts, but obviously the Midwest and just about everywhere. And so great, so, hey, you should play. And I have a feeling that, if Chris Santos got into a league or something, it would be a knock him down, drag me out. I got to win the championship. I heard about your competitive spirit, but that's good. We love that. Okay, wait a minute. Let's see. Rochester, Minnesota,
Okay,
and Mason City. But he's
nice.
a Fall River boy,
Ah,
and he likes to watch, I guess, Fall River Reporter because he wanted to get the vibe back of this area. So even though he's living out there, he came into Fall River Reporter, bumped into our podcast, and we really appreciate you looking in. And you can give us a call sometime. It doesn't have to be today, but you see the number there. Give us a shout. Say hello. We'll tell you about everything that's going on in Fall River. You know, you moved out there. We're still here. So if you want to know the vibe over here between myself and Chris Santos, we can tell you everything that's going on around here.
oh yeah, absolutely. And even out there, and he talked about the seniors. That's where it started, Paul. It started with the seniors to get them active and get them involved. Now it's starting to go down and down into the 50s, the 40s, the 30s. You got U.S. Opens. You got all kinds of things going on with this pickleball. So the craze is out there. So if you guys want to have a little extra fun sport, check it out and try it. Head to the Lakeville Athletic Club. Tons of courts over there. And even the Ted Williams camp that will be coming up in the summer. You can play outdoors too. So it's sweeping the nation.
Shout out to Charlie Perry. Thank you for looking in today. By the way, speaking of podcasts, Charlie Perry has a fantastic podcast called the Really Charlie Podcast, and he gets a lot of terrific guests on his podcast. He's got this new background with like a swimming pool in the background and stuff like that. So he's always looking to improve like we always are. So thanks for looking in, Charlie. Give us a comment and maybe even give us a call one of these weeks at 774-762-6234.
I'd like to get Charlie to get Paul Santos, Chris Santos, Mikey Kahn. I'd like to get a few, three guys right there.
What a panel.
Yeah, that'd be nice on Charlie's podcast. We can do a lot of talking about some basketball and some other things.
Yeah, we can do that here, actually.
And we can get that too.
We can do it here. We can do it there. And a shout out to, let's see, John Beard is watching today. And Bobby O'Brien. Bobby O, baby. That's right. Bobby O is watching. And Charlie Perry says, love you guys. Thank you very much. Right back at you. Okay, to the phones. Hello, you are on Santos on Sports. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Yes. Yes, sir. I honestly think that we did kind of choke in the last 6 minutes of the game. We was being too tentative and running the offense slow. There was times where we was going up the court and like, you know what I mean? We was not having that sense of urgency. And then also the missed free throw. If Marcus Smart doesn't come and do like I guess you could say an over the back over his own teammate on Jaylen Brown. If you look at that play,
I did.
he clearly could have grabbed that rebound, Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, and Chris, we talked about this before, in fact, I even said they called Giannis for an offensive foul. And I said, why did Giannis go and bang into Smart like that? And you texted me back, yeah, but Smart flopped. Yeah, Smart spends all his time like on the floor, like he's always diving and flopping and laying down and everything else. And he comes out of nowhere and he's trying to get that rebound and he bumps his own man. Next thing you know, he's rolling around on the floor. What about that? What's going on with him in those situations?
Defensive player of the year, Paul. I mean, what do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, man,
the guy's done it all year long, and it's worked for him.
Hopefully we could get this Game 6 win and bring it home for 7. But I just thought I'd share my thoughts on that.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you calling. Don't be a stranger. Call us next time.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
No, and he's right, Paul. I think the Celtics were very conservative, played not to win down the stretch. Like he said, bringing up the ball slowly and doing all that. And I think it really hurt him.
All right. We still got a few minutes left here. We've got plenty of time, actually. 774-762-6234. We're happy to have a lot of new callers this week along with our regulars. So please continue to call in and let us know. We figured on a day like this, like right after a colossal collapse, that would be a good day to come on and do the podcast. With Chris' schedule and my schedule, sometimes we move it here, we move it there. And in fact, Mark Sylvia out there in Chicago, he's like, I never know when you guys are on. First of all, there's an hour difference, and then I don't know when you're on, and then all of a sudden you're on, and I don't know what's going on. Well, Chris and I was so irritated yesterday, right? So aggravated. We were texting back and forth at like 11 o'clock at night, and we were just so aggravated that, and I had some work to do in my day job, and he had something. I'm like, that's it. We're going on today. I can't wait. I can't wait till later in the week. And then when Chris said he's going to do an opening rant, that was it. That was the clincher. Chris doing the opening rant. There we go.
Well, as I said, when you saw that at the beginning of the year, and Udoka was feeling the team out. And everyone talking about, oh, let's get rid of Tatum and get rid of Brown. And they were losing games like that. They had leads, and they were losing games like that. Then come January 1st, the defense stepped up, and everything started to go the other way from 11th to 8th to 3rd and moving up in the standings and so forth. Less games happen like that. Well, guess what? It happened last night and at the wrong time, and that's what really got me, because this defense has been outstanding, but when they're giving up 33, and then obviously the offense only scoring 21 in the fourth quarter, it was time to get on the air and rant and say the Celtics really lost that game last night. Now, don't get me wrong. Giannis played well as usual. Great player. Porter stepped up the game. So did the other guys when they needed to make great shots. So let's give Milwaukee credit. That's a good ball club. They have the right to be right where they are and have a chance to win this series. But, you have that lead. You can't give that up. And they did.
All right, 774-762-6234. Give us a call here on Santos on Sports. We're having an enjoyable time. We got a comment here from Ian Dillon Hunt. And this is not a particularly complex comment. It just kind of summarizes it. He just writes, that was a tough one. just That just about sums it up. It was a tough one. We had that damn thing won. It almost reminds me, for the audience that's my age and your age, maybe I'm a little bit older than you, but not by much. This reminds me of the pre-2004 Red Sox, and sort of like the Bruins when they couldn't beat the Canadians, kind of like late 70s, the lunch pail team, where we would get to like right here, here's the championship or a big win is like right here. And we just get to like right here, it's kind of like when Grady Little left Pedro in the game and then they lost the game, Yep. Luckily they won the next year, but that's the kind of loss this feels like. Now I know it's just in the early rounds. This isn't for the championship.
Yep.
They got to win this round and 2 more rounds, right?
Yep.
So they got a long way to go. But I can just remember for years, young kids like my son, who's 30 years old, all he remembers is the Boston teams winning every year for 20 years, every other year, especially with the Patriots, right? He doesn't know that we used to be that team that would get you right here and we couldn't go over the hump. And we get right here and we couldn't go over the hump, So that was just, I was laying there, I was watching the post. I had to get up this morning like most people do. And I just started watching a post-game show, and I'm listening to Udoka, and I'm listening to Tatum, and I'm listening to Marcus Smart, and I'm just kind of laying there. Then, and just as a fan, I know this is just entertainment and stuff like that. It just felt like one of those games that it took a while for you to like digest it. It took me a while to get over it.
No, I agree. And again, the series isn't over yet. So,
right.
If this was an elimination game, then we could be talking about all the humps and everything else. But, they still got another game to play, and they can win there. I like to see them get off to a fast start and then figure out how to slow and contain Giannis and then work against the other guys and make it difficult for them. Got to take the crowd out. That's going to be huge. And, stay up on the game, stay in there to the end and see what happens, and hopefully get a Game 7 back at TD Garden.
All right, Bobby O still watching. Hey, Bobby O, thank you very much for your support. He's always the guy that's giving the one-liners and comparing, some of these sports situations to yours truly in the courtroom, which I appreciate those comments. But one of these times, we want to hear your voice on there at 774-762-6234. But we love your support. And by the way, I got to tell you something, right?
Yep.
After the Celtics lost, right, I was watching the post-game show and all that, and I was texting back and forth with you and my son, right? So I switch over to the Red Sox. Now, did you switch over to the Red Sox at all?
I did not actually.
So you know what happened, right? So I switch over to the Red Sox, right?
Yep.
And it's 3-3 in the 8th inning. Then I switch back, and then it's still 3-3. So after the post-game interviews, I switch it over. It's 3-3, bottom of the 9th, and Atlanta is up at bat. So I texted my son, to make this night complete, here comes the walk-off win by the Atlanta Braves. So my son goes, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. 30 seconds later, bada boom! I'm a Red Sox fan, and I typed, ha, 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 good night. Like that just made the night complete. It was one of those nights.
I was actually trying to find out the injury to Sidney Crosby to find out if he's able to come back into that game, which he didn't, and how extensive it is, and will he be ready for Game 6? They're up 3-2 over the Rangers. losing that one 5-3. But I was trying to find out some information about him to see where he's staying at an upper body injury. So, not having him is not good, especially when you're on your third goalie over there in Pittsburgh. But they do have the lead. They're coming home. Got to take that one. Can't let it go back to MSG. So hopefully he's okay and he'll be able to play.
It's too bad that the Bruins are in the predicament that they are, because for folks who know the situation, Chris Santos is a big Pittsburgh Penguin fan. In fact, he has Mario Lemieux in the background, and he's got Sidney Crosby, Sid the Kid in the background, all that. So I was thinking, this would be great, because the winner of the Bruins series plays the winner of the Pittsburgh series. So Pittsburgh is up 3-2. If the Bruins and Pittsburgh could both win their series, it would be the Bruins against Pittsburgh, and that would make for some very interesting editions of Santos on Sports.
Well, there'd be a lot of paraphernalia being worn that series, that's for sure. Hats, T-shirts, towels, everything would come out of the woodwork for this one, Paul.
Well, you got the right colors.
You going at it.
You got the right colors, black and gold, but you're just off by a few 100 miles.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to it. It'd be a lot of fun. Maybe Boston can pull some miracles, and I'm hoping we can hang on.
Well, it's interesting, right? If you look at the Bruins, right, people are saying they have a good chance to win tonight. I certainly don't think it's anywhere near automatic, that's for sure, because, the wins that Carolina did down there were fairly comfortable. But the Bruins wins back here, not as comfortable, right? So could I see Carolina coming up here and stealing Game 6 and finishing it off? Absolutely. On the other hand, could the Bruins force Game 7? Of course, that could happen. But then now you got to go down there and win Game 7. The way they've played down there, it just seems like such a long shot, And
how about during the regular season where Boston struggled against Carolina, and Carolina took it to them in Boston a couple of times. So they have a lot of confidence in that building to say, hey, we've won here in the regular season. We can win here again.
But how many times, right, out of all the years that you've been watching sports and I've been watching sports, how many times have we been in a situation where we thought and said, wow, did you see that? Nobody thought in a million years that was going to happen. So every once in a while, something happens that you don't think is going to happen, right? So look, if you can just get to Game 7, right? They always say in Game 7, you never know, right? I mean, the Bruins had St. Louis in Game 7 in the finals, and people thought, wow, we have a great chance to win this, and they could put the puck in the net, and then next thing you know, shot hits a knee on the way through. And, in hockey, you get that puck off the knee or that puck off the skate, and it bounces off somebody's rear end, and at the other end, the goalie makes a save. The whole entire game changes right at the beginning just on that.
Yeah, and I think the Bruins have to use the physicality to slow down the speed of Carolina and do it in a way where you not end up in the penalty box. Do it in a way that causes turnovers, clears out the front, but at the same time, get in front of that goalie, set some screens, get some rebound, finish your chances, strong on your stick, Paul, and put it away.
Well, John Raleigh, who we had on last week, the longtime legendary coach of UMass Dartmouth, right? We were talking to him about the Bruins and all that. And I remember one time I asked him a long time ago, he was playing against the team, UMass Dartmouth. I was covering the game. They were playing against a team that was chippy and they were doing dirty stuff and all that. So I said to John Raleigh, I said, how do you kind of walk that fine line between responding to the chippy play and ending up in the penalty box? So, John Raleigh he goes, I got one thing to say about that. Stay out of the box. Stay out of the box. So the Bruins being in the box, that's been murder in this series. It's been absolute murder.
Yeah, and obviously on the road, it's even worse because now it's hostile territory and it's 5-on-4 there and then a lot of things. And then you get another one and all of a sudden it's 5-on-3 and you're like, oh boy. Whether it's some challenges you took and you don't get the challenge, you got to go to the box or just whatever it is. You have to win that battle and you got to do it, the right way. You can be physical and be nasty and get in the box, and you can be physical and nasty and really slow down a team that doesn't like that. And they want speed to use, and you just kind of stop them and slow them down. So hopefully they can do it correctly, get it done and work in their favor. So you saw last time the Bruins were home, look at what Tony DeAngelo did. He was losing his mind, throwing his stick around, taking cheap shots. He was in the box a few times. So, it wears on you, and you play the mind game. So let's see if Boston can do it tonight. and send it to a game 7.
It's always scary when you're watching the game and you're kind of rooting for the Bruins and everything, and then all of a sudden you hear this bada boom, somebody gets knocked on their ass, right? And then you hear the crowd going, ah, and then you hear a penalty coming up on the Bruins.
Yeah.
And you can hear the arena is going bananas.
Yeah.
And the goalie's skating off to get the 6th man. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, not this, So there is a definite emotional aspect to that whole thing, of course. All right, that winds it down here. Once again, thanks to Scotty's Pub, 202 Pleasant Street in Fall River, Citywide Glass, 3 locations, 425 State Road in Dartmouth, Fall River in Taunton, and Lakeville Athletic Club, 325 Bedford Street in Lakeville, Massachusetts, where you can play tennis, pickleball, and more. Thank you so much for being sponsors on Santos on Sports.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate those sponsors, Chris.
Yeah, we sure do. Thanks a lot to them. Rich Anthony, the owner of the Lakeville Athletic Club, Scotty Lopes, the owner of Scotty's Pub, obviously, and even owns the Citywide Glass too. So both great guys.
Hopefully the next time you and I speak, the Bruins and the Celtics won't be eliminated.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why you play the game, and
Exactly.
as long as it's a good one, Paul, and you don't get blown out, or you don't, you lose in a way that, okay, you can take that. It was a good game. It was gutsy, that kind of thing, compared to just getting blown out of the building, and that's what you don't want.
I'm a diehard, Chris. I stay, and it was 3-1, and it was 4-1, and I'm still looking at the TV like, well, teams have scored 3 goals in 2 minutes before. Like I just can't admit that we're going to lose. I have to stay right till the end. So that's what being a fan is. Anyway, hey, thanks to our callers. We had a lot of different callers today.
We did.
A lot of different people commenting. We appreciate that, and we'll be back again. We're basically on once a week or so for Santos on Sports. We appreciate that. It's always fun, Chris, and good speaking to you today.
Yeah, check us out. Whether you can go on my Facebook page. I like to put it out there when we're going to have our show. Paul does the same thing. So make sure you look for us once a week, whether it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We try to mix it up. That's best for our schedules. Today was a Thursday after a big loss for the Celtics. So look for it next week, and we'll talk a lot more.
We need some therapy tonight, I think. This was like our therapy. Get this off our chest.
That's true. I feel a lot more comfortable now, a lot off my shoulders.
Yeah, well, the Bruins are starting, so hopefully that'll last for the rest of the evening.
Oh, boy. Hey, let's turn on Billy Jaffe, one of our former guests.
That's right. Exactly. All right. For Chris Santos, I am Paul Santos for Santos on Sports. Again, thanks for looking in. We appreciate your support, and have a fantastic evening.